Imagine the roar of the engines as they scream down the main straight, the tension before the 5 red lights go out, the raw electricity in the air that only Formula One can create. Now imagine something even more intense, the feeling that one of the greatest drivers of this generation might finally be under real threat. But here's the twist. Max Verstappen's biggest danger in 2025 isn't coming from Lando Norris, or Oscar Piastri, or Lewis Hamilton, or even a surprise midfield rocket. No, the real threat comes from a place nobody predicted: inside his own camp. Tonight we're pulling back the visors, peeling away the layers of dominance and control, and exposing the hidden enemy that could derail Max Verstappen's season and reshape the title fight entirely. And trust me, by the end of this breakdown, you'll see why 2025 may be the most dangerous year of Max's career. And hey, if you love F1 drama more than Ferrari loves disappointment, smash that like button right now. It fuels the algorithm like fresh, soft tyres fuel a quali lap. Max Verstappen has spent years building a fortress around his driving. 4 world championships, statistical domination, pole positions, fastest laps. He didn't just win, he rewrote the physics of what winning looks like. And early into 2025, it seemed like nothing had changed. The RB21 remained a monster. Max looked comfortable, fearless, absolutely in control. But beneath the highlight reels and trophy photos, something began to shift. And at first, nobody noticed, but the data did. The engineers did. And now the entire paddock is whispering what Red Bull refuses to say out loud. The foundations are cracking. Let's start with pre-season testing, because that's where the first warning signs appeared. While most fans shrugged off Red Bull's early struggles, the engineers didn't. The RB21 wasn't behaving like its predecessors. Wind tunnel numbers didn't match real-world behavior. Aero inconsistencies popped up at high-speed tracks. Tyre temperatures were harder to control. The car felt unpredictable in certain corners. And while the world just assumed Red Bull always finds the magic fix, the truth is, this time they didn't. This time the problems followed them into the season. And then there's the championship picture. Right now, Verstappen sits in an intense 3-way title battle with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, something F1 hasn't seen in years. Norris currently leads with 408 points, Max sits second with 396, and Piastri is just behind at 392. That's a razor-thin margin, and with only a handful of races left, including the all-deciding Abu Dhabi showdown, every qualifying mistake, every slow pit stop, every tyre choice matters. Max isn't used to being hunted like this, and pressure creates cracks. But the cracks aren't coming from McLaren, they're coming from inside Red Bull Racing. Mid-season, Red Bull made a shocking, almost desperate decision. They changed driver lineups again. Within just 2 years, Max has cycled through 4 different teammates. Yuki Tsunoda was ruthlessly dropped. Another rising talent was thrown into the seat. The constant reshuffling is more than just a story for headlines. It signals chaos, uncertainty, and lack of direction. Whether fans want to admit it or not, stable teams win championships. Unstable teams lose them. And right now, Red Bull is wobbling like a loose tyre rolling down the pit lane. For Max Verstappen, that instability isn't just an annoyance, it's a threat to his rhythm. F1 drivers live on precision, trust, and repeatable patterns. If the garage dynamic shifts, if strategy becomes uncertain, if feedback loops break down, the driver starts racing with doubt, and doubt is poison. One engineer inside the paddock anonymously suggested that Red Bull's 2025 development has lost clarity because internal disagreements over aerodynamic philosophy are widening. When data from simulations doesn't match what they see on track, teams usually adapt. Red Bull seems to be improvising. And improvisation in Formula One is how championships slip away. But the real danger, the part nobody predicted, isn't the rivalry with McLaren, it's the timing. In 2026, Formula One enters its biggest regulation shift in modern history. New power units, new energy deployment, new aerodynamics. every team on the grid is secretly funneling resources into next year's car. That includes Red Bull. And you can already see the consequences in 2025. Some of the upgrades Red Bull originally planned never arrived. Development slowed. New parts felt rushed or ineffective. Rumours suggest that Red Bull's wind tunnel has been overburdened preparing for 2026, leaving this year's RB21 evolution stagnant. And stagnation in F1 is the first step to defeat. And here's where things get truly terrifying for Verstappen. McLaren isn't stagnating, they're surging. Their upgrade packages in 2025 have been consistently effective across multiple circuits. Their tyre management has improved dramatically. Their qualifying pace, especially Norris's one-lap attack mode, has become a nightmare for Red Bull, and their race strategy team has ironed out weaknesses from 2024. So while Max is fighting internal turmoil, McLaren is sharpening their weapons. But allow me to hit you with a reality check, because this is where fans get the story wrong. Max Verstappen's biggest threat in 2025 is not McLaren, not Norris, not Piastri. It's the erosion of trust within Red Bull. Think about that for a moment. A Formula One driver pushes at 200 miles per hour. He brakes at 5G. He turns into corners blind, trusting that the car beneath him will obey. When that trust starts to shake, the performance drops. Not dramatically, not visibly, but subtly, critically and consistently. A tenth here, a mistake there, a hesitation in wheel-to-wheel combat, a doubt during an undercut. These tiny fractures add up, and in a title fight this close they can decide the World Championship. Mid-video pattern interrupt, because if you're still watching, you're one of the smart F1 fans who loves the truth more than the hype. So hit subscribe right now before Ferrari fans find this video and start arguing in the comments. And hey, drop your prediction too. Who do you think is Max's real threat this season? I want to see the chaos in the replies. Also hit like, because this script took more energy than a Red Bull two-stop strategy in Singapore. Now back to the storm. Let's talk psychology. Max Verstappen is known for being unshakable. Ice cold, ruthless, but even he has limits. When the RB21 behaves inconsistently, like it did in Qatar's sprint weekend, oscillating between understeer and snap oversteer, you can hear the frustration seeping through his radio messages. He begins questioning strategy, tyre choices, balance, setup direction. That's unusual for Max. Because when a driver starts questioning the team, it means one thing. Trust is weakening. And weakened trust is the biggest enemy of a champion. If you look deeply into 2025's data, Verstappen's outright pace hasn't vanished, but the support structure around him has. Red Bull's strategy mistakes are increasing. Their pit stop times are inconsistent, their upgrades are less effective, and their internal harmony seems to be fracturing under the pressure of a resurging McLaren and a looming 2026 shake-up. Now, imagine a season finale scenario. Abu Dhabi, 3 drivers within 20 points, Max in second place, a car he doesn't fully trust, a strategy team under immense pressure, and a McLaren team operating like a synchronized machine. That's the real nightmare. Not outright speed, not wheel-to-wheel combat, but uncertainty. The kind that creeps in when the system stops working around the driver. Let's be brutally honest, the only person who can beat Max Verstappen consistently is Max Verstappen in an unstable environment. If Red Bull cannot restore cohesion, clarity and development direction, then the 2025 championship could slip away. Not because Max wasn't fast enough, but because the structure beneath him failed. And that brings us to the final cliffhanger. What happens next? Because the way Red Bull handles the last stretch of 2025 will define Max's future. If they regain stability, racing rhythm and trust, the dynasty continues. If they don't, we might be watching the beginning of the end of the Verstappen era. Not because of a rival, but because of the one threat he never saw coming. The storm inside his own garage. So now, it's your turn. Do you think Max Verstappen survives this internal war? Or will 2025 be the season that finally breaks Red Bull's dominance? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Formula One's hidden chaos, hit like, smash subscribe, and check out the next video on screen, how McLaren's 2025 revolution nearly destroyed Red Bull's throne. Because in F1, the battles you don't see are the ones that decide everything.